Good.
You're good too? All right, well, as soon as, so I will call the Board of Commissioners meeting to order here at 10 o'clock. Those who are able, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under the indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Any additions to today's agenda from either commissioner?
I'm good.
Good. Amber's good. All right. We'll move forward to the meeting minutes. Any changes or alterations to the meeting minutes from the commissioners meeting and the work session held on June 6th?
No changes. I'll move to approve the minutes from the meetings held June 6th, 2023.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor of approving the minutes from the June 6th meetings do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, now I think we can move to the annual CNET report to talk about all the things that CNET did in 2022, most especially from the county's perspective.
If I may, Cindy Hahn, Executive Director of CNET, is with us this morning to present CNET's annual report for 2022. As you may know, Center County government was a founding member of CNET in 1987. Without further ado, Cindy will provide us with county programming statistics and other highlights from last year.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Always wonderful to come once a year and make my presentation to the county. I have a clicker which they tell me will work. Look at that. Very good. So first of all, just some highlights of 2022. The small but mighty CNET staff produced 501 programs last year. The staff consists of 4 full-time employees and an additional 3 part-time producers. One of the big pieces of news from 2022 is that there is a second cable company moving into town. You may know that Windstream discontinued all cable operations, but there is a company based in West Virginia called Shentel that has been actively pursuing cable franchises with many of our municipalities. So they finalized franchises with State College Borough and Ferguson Township in 2022. And then so far in 2023, they have finalized franchises with Patton College and Harris Township, and negotiations with Bellefonte Borough have begun and are expected to be completed in 2023. Another initiative in 2022 was we were finally able to work out an agreement with Penn State University in April, which established a minimum financial contribution to CNET from the university, and that had not been the case before. They had been a sort of a pay-as-you-go member without any minimum contribution necessary, but there is now an agreement that has finalized that.
Does Penn State do any programming or anything?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we do. We do. Well, first of all, the Penn State Department of Meteorology. The students submit daily weather forecasts and then weekly sort of weather programs to us. Last year, we did lectures for the McCourtney Institute for Democracy, the Hankin lecture, the Larson. So we do quite a few programs every year, but they have to now meet a minimum,
Okay.
basically.
Thank you.
In terms of Center County programming, 51 commissioners meetings, and then as you know, we've been live streaming the mail-in ballot counting for the last few years since 2020, and that accounted for an additional, with both elections, an additional 7 programs. 4 Civil War roundtables. We covered the John Ziegler Historic Preservation Awards, There was one program the county sponsored for the Spring Creek Watershed Commission, and then the Community Spelling Bee that benefits the Mid-State Literacy Council. So the total number of programs in 2022 sponsored by the county was 65. There were 2 bulletin board messages sponsored last year. We value those as 1/10 of a program, so that simply adds 0.2 for a grand total last year of 65.2 programs. That represents just about 12%, 12.1% of all of the programming by all of our members last year. The previous year, 2021, your percentage was just slightly higher. It was 12.6%, but that's really not a great fluctuation. So your programming still is really fairly consistent from year to year. And this sort of illustrates that this is the last 5 years of programming, 2018 through 2022. I guess 2021 was a high year for you. But again, from year to year, there's not a great deal of fluctuation. If we look at the period of 2018 to 2022, the county is sponsoring just about 12% of all of our programming. And this is important to you simply because our funding formula is based on that 5-year rolling average. So years roll out and years come in, but basically, if you look at 2018 through 22, that level of sponsorship will determine your 2024 financial dues to CNET. And so that's why that 5-year period is important. It does determine your following year's dues. This graph shows you all of our members over that 5-year period of time. The county is now solidly in second place in terms of your programming. The very high bar you see there on the right is State College Borough, and they have been the largest sponsor of programming since the beginning, within the county in second place, and I believe the State College Area School District maybe in third place, although College and Ferguson Township seem to be giving them a run for their money. So just to remind you, our government channel is Channel 7 on Comcast, and that's where you'll find all of the county's programming. Your commissioners' meetings are aired live Tuesday at 10, obviously, Friday at 12 noon, Friday at 7 p.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m., and your commissioners' meetings are streamed live on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is CNET Center County, for those who are looking. On cnet1.org, we put the programs up online, and they remain available for 12 months and are chaptered by agenda items. And I think everyone probably knows that, but it really does make it very user-friendly to just watch the issue that you're interested in. We are also on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And we have created little tutorials, video tutorials that are on our website that really walk people step by step through how to find our programming on those platforms. And so if you just go to our website and click on one of those tutorials, it'll make it very easy for you to find it, because that can be a bit challenging on those sorts of platforms. So we hope that the tutorials make it very easy. We took a look at the number of hits, the number of views you have for people watching your meetings online. And I looked at the period of January of 22 through April of 23. So the commissioners' meetings on cnet1.org are seeing an average of just about 75 views per meeting, and on YouTube, another 61.6 average views. The mail-in ballot counting for the last 3 elections saw an average of 225 views per election. So I thought that was interesting as well. Those are live streamed on YouTube. We do not televise the mail-in ballot counting. it's many, many hours, as you all know. And so those are not televised, but they are live streamed and remain there on YouTube to view. Now, keep in mind, please, these are only online views. This is not cable TV. The cable companies consider that data to be proprietary and will not release that to us. So the only data I can really give you is the online viewing, but it sort of is representative of what's going on. I did want to just touch on, for the information for the public, something that, we are very proud of. CNET hosts candidate interviews every year for both every primary and general election. Those invitations are sent to candidates on the ballot for federal, state, and county offices. In addition, the local municipal elections in CNET member municipalities and school districts. We have volunteer professional journalists conducting the interviews. For the last election, we had Haley Kynes with the Center Daily Times and Jeff Rushton with statecollege.com. And we're very grateful that they volunteer their time and talent to help us with those. The interviews are televised on the channels and posted online. And that I guess is it. That concludes my presentation. Obviously, I'll be happy to take any questions.
I appreciate that, Cindy, and the commissioners are grateful for your making our meetings very accessible to the public, both live and upwards of a year long on your website. Appreciate your assistance on keeping county government open and transparent. Again, thanks to all the viewers who spend anywhere from a half hour to an hour or so to watch us every single week. Appreciate that. I'll hand it over to Commissioner Concepcion for any questions or comments.
Yeah, just thank you for this report. It's always interesting to hear, all the different programs that CNET is offering, and I've always appreciated being able to catch up on various municipal meetings from home. And it's just, I think, important to the transparency of local government.
Thanks, Cindy. As
Yes.
always, you provide us good information, and
I think the transparency for local government's important, and I think you do a fantastic job. But I'd also like to thank Stephanie for being steadfast in her dedication to Center County government coverage over many, many years, and appreciate
Great,
that very
Stephanie,
much.
thank you.
Absolutely. Stephanie celebrated her 20th anniversary with CNET last year. So our longest ever serving employee.
There you go. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate the support. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks.
Thanks, Cindy. Appreciate that. And
Thank you.
thanks again to Stephanie for being so dedicated. 20 years in the TV business. Thanks again. And now we will move on to contracts and authorizations. We have quite a number of human services contracts to cover today. I will defer to John as to who's going to be handling the first one for adult services.
It's going to be a repeat of last week. I think it's going to be the Julia Show.
Oh, okay. Let's start the Julia show then.
Okay. Nothing like all the pressure of understanding how many viewers there are out there. Great. Okay. So for adult services, I'm here to request the approval of a grant agreement with the Department of Housing and Urban Development for the continuation of the Center County Rapid Rehousing Program. So this is a continuation of these services. This is a contract or a grant in which Housing Transition is the provider, and so adult services monitors the grant and does make sure everything's going okay with housing transitions.
That's great. I know that particular grant's been very appreciated and has been helping keep people housed. Commissioner Concepcion, any questions?
Yeah, could you just tell us, like, in a nutshell a little bit about the Center County Rapid Rehousing Program?
Sure. So it's essentially people are vetted to make sure that they are able to maintain the qualifications that are needed, and then they are able to work with Housing Transition to find suitable housing for them.
Anything else? Commissioner Dershowitz?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, looks like we can take a motion now.
Okay, I will move to add the grant agreement with the Department of Housing and Urban Development to the consent agenda.
I will second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adding the grant agreement to the consent agenda, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, now we'll move on to an item for mental health with Penn State University Psychological Clinic.
Sure. So this is a renewal with the Pennsylvania Psychological Clinic to provide mental health services, including outpatient and community services. So this is actually took a little bit of time to agree on a contract, and so we were able to come to an agreement on language and wording, and so that's why it's backdated back to July 1st, 2022. The contract total is for $20,000, and county match is $922.
We very much appreciate the contract with Penn State Psychological Clinic. Huge shortages of mental health personnel and providers, so very pleased to have that. Commissioner Concepcion, comments or questions?
No, thank you.
I'm good.
So I'll
All
move
right.
to add the contract with Penn State Psychological Clinic to next week's consent agenda.
I will second
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adding the contract with Pennsylvania State University Psychological Clinic to next week's consent agenda, do so by saying aye.
that. Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, thanks again, Julia. Now we'll move on to Children and Youth Services. One, approval of a quarterly fiscal report and a whole bunch of contracts.
Yes, so the first is the approval of the Act 148 third quarter numbers. Children and Youth Services is on track with their spending, nothing out of line and no concerns. This is just the quarterly report that they send to the state in order to draw down the Act 148 money.
Great, thanks, Julian. Just for the folks at home, that's the third quarter of the state of Pennsylvania fiscal year, which I think would cover January through March. Any questions, Commissioner Concepcion?
No?
Commissioner Dershowitz? All right, I think we'll take a motion now.
I'll move to approve the Act 148 third quarter fiscal year 22-23 report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the Act 148 quarterly report, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, Julie, now we have, oh my goodness, the Roman numerals go pretty high here. I think it's 16 minus 1, 15 contracts.
Yeah, and if it would be all right, I'd like to group them in a way that makes sense instead of reading through everything, if that would be all right. Great. So contracts 2 through 10 are all renewals, and they are for foster care residential services. So those are all agencies that we've contracted with previously. They provide residential foster care and placement to children and youth who are in the care and custody of Children and Youth Services. And then I have numbers 11 and 12 are contracts with 2 attorneys. So when Children and Youth Services attends a court hearing, the agency is represented, the child is represented, and then the parents, if they so choose, are also represented. So these are 2 of the agency attorneys, one Robbie Raybach, Esquire, and Claire Kimmel, Esquire. Then the next contract, the number 13, is in regards to with the Public Defender's Office to provide the guardian ad litem services, so that the child has their own representation at court hearings. And then contracts 14 through 16 are all having to do with CAPS, which is the Child Accounting Profile System. This is a web-based case management system approved by the state for children and youth services to utilize. And then one of those contracts, number 16, is in regards to how the CAP system works with the state system, which is CWIS, which is Child Welfare Information System. So that is the gist of the Children and Youth Services contracts, if anybody has any questions.
That is a whole lot of contracts. Commissioner Concepcion, any questions?
Yeah, no questions. Thank you.
I'm all good.
All right, since we've gone through the 15 contracts and no one has any questions, I think we could take a motion.
I'll move to add the Children and Youth Service items 2 through 16 to next week's consent agenda.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adding the Children and Youth Services items 2 through 16 to next week's consent agenda, do so by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great, thank you very much, Julia.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. A lot of things to go through today. Now we'll move on to an item for the commissioners. It's our Ethics Commission report, statement of financial interest for the last calendar year. I'm assuming, John, is that something you'd cover?
Yes, Julia, I'll take care of this one. Okay, so in accordance with the State Ethics Act, statement of financial interests forms are required to be filed by any public official or public employee with the State Ethics Commission. And to that end, as a governing authority, Center County has done our due diligence to ensure proper distribution and notification to all public officials. That would also include authority, board, and commission members that they need to fill out and submit this form. So for the 2022 year, we distributed the forms on January 17th of this year, notifying that the forms were due by May 1st. And reminders were sent to all of those individuals on April 6th and May 31st. And we had the extended deadline of June 9th in order for those forms to be submitted back to us as part of our closeout report to the State Ethics Commission. As of this time, there are only 2 members of authority boards or commissions that have not submitted their forms, so it's an improvement upon last year. So with that, the request is to approve the submission to the State Ethics Commission of those individuals who have not completed the required state of financial interest forms for the calendar year 2022.
Great, John. Thanks for covering that. And of course, the commissioners and the citizens of Center County appreciate all of the volunteers who serve on all of the authorities, boards, commissions for just the county itself. This is a whole lot of work, getting all these forms out, answering all the questions from potentially dozens of different people, and then filing all these documents. I'm assuming this mostly falls on Aaron and Lisa, and so we
does.
appreciate
Thank you.
what they've done over the last year. Any questions from Commissioner Concepcion?
My understanding is these folks have had reminders, so we're trying to
Several.
make sure that they're not caught unawares. Yep.
I'm good.
All right, so I'll move to approve the submission then to the Ethics Commission for those individuals who have not completed a statement of financial interest form for the calendar year 2022.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the submissions of the Ethics Commission of the individuals who have not yet completed their statement of financial interest for 2022. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, now we move on to kind of a medium-length consent agenda. I don't think there's anything out of the ordinary there. Can we have a motion to approve this week's consent agenda?
I will move to approve this week's consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving this week's consent agenda do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great, thanks. Now on to our check run with Commissioner Concepcion.
Sure, so the check that I was going to pull out from this week was for Housing Transitions. And this is an agency that we work closely with for those experiencing housing insecurity. And it sounds like they'll be benefited by some federal grant money. So, good to hear. And with that, I would move to approve the check run dated June 9th, 2023.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the check run dated June 9th. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, John, do we have an administrator's report?
Nothing to report at this time.
All right, now we'll move on to our reports and announcements. Assuming Commissioner Dershowitz were able to do another voter registration report this week.
Yes, we have one, but before I do, I'd like to highlight an event that's coming up for the veterans here in Center County. Thursday, June 15th, the James Van Zant Veterans Hospital and Center in Altoona is actually going to be bringing their show to Center County up to their outreach office in College Township. And so between the hours of 11 and 3, there's the opportunity for veterans to come out and I guess they have an enrollment fair, which if you want to see what benefits are available to you, they will be open from 11 to 3 to do outreach for our community veterans. So please, if you have any questions, you can contact Evan Hinckley at the Veterans Administration in Altoona at 814-943-8164, extension 18616. And they will be able to give you a little bit more information about what opportunities exist. But that's, again, Thursday, June 15th for the enrollment fair here in Center County at the Veterans site in College Township. So anyways, move ahead to the voter registration report for the week. And this week there are 99,900 registered voters in Center County. That's down 10 voters from last report. The highlight reel indicates 42,066 Democratic registrations, 130 Green Party, 603 Libertarian, 13,359 no affiliation, and 40,647 Republican voters, which leads all others at 3,095 voters. The feature party of the week is the Pirate Party. Now, I'm not sure if the Pirate Party is our kind of pirate or whether they are just Pittsburgh Pirate fans. But assuming they're Pittsburgh Pirate fans, the Cubs play them tonight at 8:05, just in case you didn't know. So there you have it. And the precinct of the week is precinct number 11, Phillipsburg number 2. I voted the First Lutheran Church in Phillipsburg. And in the last election cycle, there were registered voter totals of 530. There were 136 ballots cast, which led to a percentage voter turnout of 25.66%. And again, we want to thank the Lutheran Church for allowing us to vote there and all the folks that make it happen from our end who work the polls. And again, thank you, precinct number 11. And that is my report.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Maybe we should double check to see if we have a Buccos party.
Hey, there is not one, but there is a pirate party, so we're at least listed in there. No Phillies, though. Just
no
fairness.
fairness. Okay. Maybe somebody will change their registration here in the next few weeks.
Maybe. Thank you.
You're welcome. We have one other announcement. Center County government offices will be closed on Monday, June 19th, in observation of Juneteenth. John, do we have any executive sessions to report or hold?
No executive sessions to report or hold.
All right. And our public meeting scheduled for the remainder of this week and next week. We have a Board of Commissioners meeting on Thursday the 15th at 10, along with a salary board meeting at the same time, also at 10. And then next week, Tuesday, June 20th, we have the Board of Commissioners meeting at 10 and a work session at 11. Do we have any questions from the press?
The public hearing for the responsible contractor ordinance, that's being held during the regularly scheduled commissioners meeting on the 27th, correct? Was there any?
Yes,
Sorry.
yes, and I believe it'll be toward the beginning of the meeting.
Okay. So given the interest and the attention that this has gotten, was there any consideration given to moving it to a time in the evening or into a bigger room or location?
Well, it would need to be held during a time when the Board of Commissioners are open for business. And at that point, that would be 10 in the morning for the regularly scheduled commissioner meeting. Any other questions? All right, I'm not hearing anything. Anything else for the good of the order? No? All right, we'll take a motion to adjourn then.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming. Thanks for